What if Anakin turned Palpatine back to the light? In Revenge of the Sith, Chancellor Palpatine reveals himself as the Sith Lord to Anakin, and the Chosen One submits himself to the dark side of the Force, becoming Darth Vader. They ruled together for over 20 years and caused nothing but pain and suffering. But what if this wasn't the case? And what if, during Revenge of the Sith, Anakin actually turned Palpatine back to the light? How would that change the Star Wars timeline we all know and love today? Let's start today's story in the Chancellor's office. Anakin has arrived to inform Palpatine that Obi-Wan has engaged General Grievous. Their conversation starts out as normal, both hoping that the war will be over soon. But as they walk into Palpatine's foyer, it gets sinister. Palpatine declares that the Jedi are dogmatic, and that only if he joins the dark side can he save Padme. He reveals himself as Darth Sidious. Just like in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin was shocked. Palpatine was the Sith Lord? How is that even possible? This is the man who has led the Republic for over a decade, the man who has been a mentor to him ever since he arrived on Coruscant. But he was evil all along? It didn't make any sense. Anakin's mind was racing. His first reaction was anger, but then he was confused. He asked Palpatine why. Why did he hate the Jedi so much? Why did he give his whole life to destroy them? They went back and forth, Palpatine speaking with pride and bitterness, while Anakin pressed deeper. Then Anakin asked a question that made Palpatine pause. Did he ever think about his parents, or brothers or sisters, or what his family would think of what he has become? Palpatine froze on the spot. He hadn't thought about his family in over 40 years. Palpatine's face contorted into rage. The mention of his family shot him over the cliff, and he ignited his lightsaber and lunged at Anakin. But his strikes were clumsy and reckless, nothing like the careful Sith Lord who has ruled over the Republic for a decade. Anakin blocked Palpatine's strikes until the Sith Lord made a move that was clearly done out of shock. He threw his hands forward, causing Anakin to catch it and disarm Palpatine to the floor. Emotion poured out of the Sith. He said he murdered his family when he was a teenager, that he had to prove himself to his master, that his family screamed as he committed the greatest massacre that House Palpatine had ever seen. Anakin was shocked. Everyone in the Senate knew that Palpatine's family was destroyed when he was a kid, but no one suspected it was him to do it. The Chosen One actually felt sympathy for him in this moment, and said that he didn't choose this path, another person forced it on him, but it's not too late to come back. They spoke more, this time Anakin telling him there's more to life than hate and power, that he had been conditioned from youth to hate the Jedi, and that his family wouldn't want this for him. Anakin spoke like a true Jedi Master, expressing the most Jedi traits perhaps he ever had. He didn't pause for a moment to think about Padme, about her pregnancy. He was thinking about Palpatine, and how to bring him back to the light. Slowly the wall began to break, and Palpatine bowed his head in shame. It is important to note here that in reality, turning Palpatine back to the light would be almost impossible and take much longer. But for the sake of the story, he surrenders to the dark side and returns to the light in this moment. From here, Anakin takes Palpatine to the Jedi Council. Anakin explains to the council that Palpatine was the Sith Lord in control of the war, but he just turned him back to the light side of the Force. The entire council's immediate reaction in unison was standing and igniting their lightsabers. None of them could believe it and took Palpatine as a threat. They all suspected that he was working with the Sith or knew who the Great Master was, but no one stopped to contemplate the idea that it could have actually been him. Palpatine told the council to sit, that he isn't the man he used to be, he is redeemed. Every council member began speaking, each trying to get their say in for what should happen to him. Ki-Adi-Mundi wanted him imprisoned, Oppa Rancisis considered execution, and Plo Koon demanded proof. Palpatine was admittedly embarrassed. This was quite an awkward confrontation for him. Windu was seething in anger, and he forced himself to remain quiet so that he could temper his emotions. Halfway through the council meeting, Obi-Wan's hologram appears in his council seat as he checks in from Utapau. The entire council stops and looks at him as he says that he has killed General Grievous. Everyone sighed in relief, but then he was caught up to speed on the Palpatine situation. He asked why everyone was brooding. This meant that Dooku, Sidious and Grievous were destroyed. The horrors of the Clone Wars were now over. This was the first moment any of them realized that they had done it. They had won the Clone Wars. From here, Palpatine is directed into the Republic court system, where the Jedi Council took an extremely close position during his trial. They advised the courts with their expertise on how to best deal with him. It was decided that Palpatine will have a 10-year non-negotiable sentence to atone for his crimes, and after those 10 years the council will hold a trial to see whether Palpatine has fully returned to the light or not. This will be done by placing Palpatine in situations to see how he acts before returning to functioning society. Palpatine is stripped of the Chancellor's office and sent to the most maximum security prison on Coruscant. Palpatine accepts this as penance, agreeing that he must atone for his crimes. The dark days for the Republic were finally over. Meanwhile, Padme successfully gives birth to Luke and Leia, surviving without complication. Anakin is overwhelmed with joy, holding his children for the first time as a sense of peace washes over him. For the first time in months, he feels complete. He isn't consumed by the fear for his family's safety or the stresses of war. He is just content, happy with his new life. Hey guys, make sure to check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the best NeoPixel sabers on the market. We have a bunch of perfect replicas and other insane Padawan sabers for sale. Check them out on our website, first link in the description below, and grab your own one today. But elsewhere in the dim halls of the Senate, the wheels of planning begin to move. With Palpatine imprisoned, Mas Amedda is swiftly appointed acting Chancellor to maintain political stability. Outwardly, he projects loyalty to the Republic and the Jedi, but behind closed doors, his ambitions stir. Late at night, Mas Amedda meets in secret with Sly Moore, Palpatine's enigmatic aide and longtime confidant. They conspire to continue their master's vision. Both are true believers in the Sith's ideology and view Palpatine's redemption as a betrayal. They agree that the Jedi remain the greatest obstacle to power and that they must eliminate them if their plans are to succeed. They began laying the groundwork. A few days later, Anakin visits Palpatine in his prison cell. His cell is a quiet, secure room locked in the far most secure part of the Republic's prison. The cell walls make it so that his Force powers are completely muted so that he can't use the Force at all. No levitation, no sensing, nothing. He has been completely cut off. Palpatine looks older now, almost tired, like the weight of everything he has done has finally caught up with him. Anakin sits across from him, unsure how to start. For a moment, neither of them speak. Then Palpatine breaks the silence, saying that he has been thinking a lot about fear. He admits that fear has controlled his entire life. It drove him to the dark side, to seize power, to destroy everything that he couldn't control. Anakin listens carefully, surprised to hear such honesty from him. Palpatine says that fear makes people make terrible choices, and that his greatest mistake was believing control could ever bring peace. Anakin tells him that he understands fear too, that it almost destroyed him as well. The two talk for a long time, not as Sith and Jedi, but as two people who have made bad choices and are trying to understand them. Palpatine tells Anakin that compassion is stronger than control, and that if Anakin wants to protect those he loves, he must trust in compassion instead of fear. As their conversation draws to an end, Palpatine suddenly looks serious. He tells Anakin there is something he must know. He reveals the existence of Order 66, a secret command built into the clones to destroy the Jedi if activated. He admits he created it with his master, Dooku, but that he also told Mas Amedda and Sly Moore, and only they know the full details now. Anakin is horrified. He realizes both of them are in power. If they decide to use Order 66, everything the Jedi fought for could be destroyed. Anakin leaves and rushes back to the Jedi Temple, bursting into the council chambers as he calls an emergency meeting. Anakin explains everything he learned from Palpatine, telling them about Order 66 and how Mas Amedda and Sly Moore now control it. The council listens in shock. Some can't believe the clones, their allies through the war, could be turned against them. Others know the Republic has grown suspicious of the Jedi and fear the worst. Mace Windu demands to know if Anakin is certain, and Anakin swears he heard it directly from Palpatine. Yoda urges calm and warns against acting rashly. Plo Koon wants to contact clone commanders immediately to stop the order. Ki-Adi-Mundi argues that the Senate must be informed before anything else happens. As they debate, the room suddenly goes quiet as a live broadcast begins to play. It is coming from the Senate. Mass Amida stands in the center of the chamber as Chancellor, his voice booming through the temple speakers. He declares that the Jedi have betrayed the Republic, that they framed Chancellor Palpatine as evil to seize power for themselves. He claims they turned on their allies and they must be stopped. The Senate roars with anger and fear. Almost every senator in the arena loved Palpatine. They stood by him for over a decade, and none of them could actually believe that he had been manipulating and playing them like fools. In reality, for them to accept that Palpatine was evil and began the Clone Wars was as much a bad representation and look for the senators personally as it was for Palpatine. It's also important to note that the Senate has grown tired of the Jedi, who they believed had become soldiers rather than peacekeepers. And so they cheer for Mass Amida's speech. Then Mass Amida looks straight into the camera and announces that the clone army will deal with the Jedi immediately. He raises his hand and gives the command. At that moment, every clone commander across the galaxy receives the same message: execute Order 66. The Jedi Council stares at the screen in shock as the nightmare begins. Chaos erupts almost immediately. Sirens blare across the Jedi Temple as gunships roar through the Coruscant sky. Thousands of clone troopers land at the temple steps. Blaster fire fills the air as the first wave charges forward. Jedi rush into the entrances, igniting their lightsabers as the battle begins. The temple courtyards become a war zone. Dozens of Jedi fight side by side, deflecting blaster bolts and striking down troopers as fast as they can. The council joins the fight too. Mace Windu leads a group of masters at the front steps, moving like a blur as he cuts through wave after wave of clones. Yoda leaps across the battlefield, spinning through the air and knocking troopers off their feet. Plo Koon commands squads of knights, organizing their defenses to hold the main gates. Anakin rushes to defend the temple. He has more to fight for now than he did during the Clone Wars. Now he has children, and he must ensure that he gets home safe for them. The fighting is brutal. Clones use heavy cannons and explosives to try and breach the temple walls, while the Jedi fight with everything they have to push them back. Meanwhile, at the Coruscant prison, chaos spreads there too. Clone troopers arrive and open fire on the Jedi guards stationed outside Palpatine's cell. The guards fight back fiercely, but in the middle of the crossfire, a stray explosive hits the wall of Palpatine's cell. The blast blows the door wide open. Alarms ring throughout the prison as Palpatine steps out into the smoke. No one notices him slip away in the confusion. He disappears into the shadows of Coruscant, vanishing without a trace, leaving everything behind. Back at the temple, the battle rages for hours. The clones push forward again and again, but the Jedi refuse to give up. Ki-Adi-Mundi leads a counterattack through the Jedi archives, driving the troopers back down the halls. Shakti fights in the training rooms, cutting down squads of clones. The Masters work together, moving as one, using their bond through the Force to outsmart and outfight the overwhelming numbers. Slowly the tide begins to turn. In this timeline, the combined force of having the Council on Coruscant and Siddur split across the galaxy on planets like Utapau, Kashyyyk, Cato Nemoidia, and Mygeeto. By the time the sun begins to rise over Coruscant, the last wave of clones is finally defeated. The temple has been almost completely destroyed, and over 9,000 Jedi were killed across the galaxy. But they aren't extinct. They have survived the night, but they all know that this is only the beginning. Mass Amida has made his move, and Palpatine has vanished into the galaxy. The Clone Wars is over, but a new war has just begun. In the days that follow, the Jedi move quickly. Strike teams are sent to capture Mass Amida and Sly Moore before they can escape. Soon after, the Jedi present their evidence to the entire Senate. They show recordings of Palpatine openly confessing to being Darth Sidious, data from Kamino proving the existence of inhibitor chips inside the clones, and a recording of Anakin's prison conversation with Palpatine, where he revealed Order 66. The evidence is undeniable. One by one, senators who had supported Mass Amida fall silent, forced to face the truth. The Jedi were innocent. Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Mass Amida and Sly Moore continued his plan for power. Both are found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Palpatine is declared a fugitive, and despite several efforts, he is never seen again. A few months later, a new election was held to choose the next Supreme Chancellor. After long debates and many candidates stepping forward, Bail Organa is elected. The galaxy slowly begins to rebuild from the chaos of war. With Palpatine gone, the threat of the Sith is over, and the Republic can finally breathe again. During this time, Anakin makes a decision he has avoided for years. He stands before the Jedi Council and admits everything: his secret marriage to Padme and the existence of their children. The room falls silent. Some masters like Windu, Mundi, and Depa Billaba are shocked and angry, saying his deception broke the Jedi code. But others like Plo Koon and Obi-Wan argue that the war changed everything, and that love is not a weakness. After long discussions, the council reaches a decision. They allow Anakin to remain in the Order, believing he has grown and changed. They also agree to let Luke and Leia be raised as Jedi within the temple. This is a historic decision, marking a new era for the Jedi Order. 2 years later, the temple is peaceful and full of life. Anakin and Padme walk hand in hand as they bring their twins to the temple for their first day as younglings. Luke and Leia look around with wide eyes, excited and curious. Other Jedi smile as they pass, recognizing the Skywalker family. Anakin and Padme watch proudly as their children take their first steps into the future. After everything they went through, this moment feels perfect. The galaxy is at peace, the Jedi stand strong, and their family is together. For Anakin, as everything he has ever wanted. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Luke Joined Vader and What If Anakin Received a White Kyber Crystal. Please check out Fantasy Sabers if you're looking for an affordable saber to add to your collection. We offer RGB, Xenopixel or Profi in various sizes and designs. Also check out our membership program to be able to watch our videos early. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.